Mambo vipi everyone, and Karibu to Veli Podcast, the #1 Kenyan music podcast. I'm your host Veli. Karibu to episode 4 of Wakadinali's 2022 documentary. And in this particular episode, we are going to focus on Sewersydaa Mkadinali, aka Mana Driller. But before we get into this episode, I would like to remind you all to subscribe to our channel, turn the notification button on to get notified every single time we drop new episode. Also check the link on description to purchase any of our merchandise to support the channel. Salim Tangut, aka Slim, aka Slim Visualz, aka Sewersydaa Mkadinali, ndugu ya Sule, or simply Mana Driller, is a third of Wakadinali member. When he joined the group, Sewersydaa was more on visuals and behind the scene most of the time. Sewersydaa's solo music career started when he dropped his first single in 2016 titled Bad Then. The single had a music video which at the recording of this episode, I tried to look it up on YouTube, but it was no longer available. But you know how we do. 2 years later, he dropped another single titled Yap. He lacked consistency with his releases of singles, and after first 2 singles, he didn't drop another, but rather he was involved in the making of Ndani Ya Cockpit mixtape. One of the dope visuals of the album that you can find Sewersydaa on is Hallelujah. In 2019, Wakadinali released a single titled Ulikuwa Wapi. At this time, I didn't know Sewersydaa was part of the crew. One question I kept asking myself was, who is this guy Wakadinali have featured and they have not given him credit? I didn't bother to check or do a research on him. But what caught me was his verse, his flow, and some of his punchlines, which were sick. For instance, that same year Sewersydaa dropped Glock, which was the lead single of his album Jeshi Ya Katululu. Second single of the album was Arif Manga, which featured Sir Boy. It was released on 12th June that same year in 2019. At this moment, he was gearing to release his album. Many didn't know who Sewersydaa was or even if he was part of Wakadinali group.
Quick question for Sewa, because I didn't know that Sewa was part of Wakadinali.
He is nivenye.
Mkitoa ngoma mara mingi inakuwaga wewe na Ska.
Yeah.
How mbona ukwagi nao, or like are you a different part of the label, or what's going on with that?
Okay, nikorende vibaya sana.
Yeah.
First of all. So like many people don't know, but I'm the one behind the cameras, all the videos of Wakadinali.
Okay,
it's me who shoot and edit them.
Okay, sawa.
So like unawezi kuwapa na hapo.
On 18th October 2019, Sewersydaa dropped his first album known as Jeshi Ya Katululu. This is the album that made me pay close attention to this guy. And it is the album that made me know he was a third of Wakadinali. His album was different from what his crew normally releases. His album had a touch of old school hip hop, boom bap, and it was raw.
3
days later, on 21st October 2019, he dropped the 420 anthem, Fona Kambao. It featured Sir Boy, who at this point I didn't know much about. Now in mid-late 2020, when lockdown was still a thing, Sewersydaa started to experience something in his life, getting people's attention with his flow, punchlines, and lyrics. As Veli Podcast, we always focus on Wakadinali in July, and we started doing it in 2020. When we dropped what we called the wrong side of Wakadinali, dubbing that name to Sewersydaa, many Wakadinali fans had not known more about him nor heard his album. The episode actually showed us the peak time of Sewersydaa. As you can see, during the recording of this video, this particular episode had over 8k views. But if you can see the data between 15th July 2020 to 4th April 2021, there was no data, but after April 2021, it attracted more listeners, and by this time, Sewersydaa was blowing. When Wakadinali released Lockdown, this is where the birth of Mana Driller Sewersydaa was marked. The song was tight and it caught people's attention with lines like
Jeshi Ya victory tulitoa lock up equity hands up to 1-1.
1 month later, Wakadinali dropped Extra Pressure.
Niko gomna kunanyesha chances za kushandwa zinanipa extra pressure. Kidungi kwa mrazi utobo.
And this song birthed so many drill artists in Kenya due to its success. With the release of all these songs as a group, Sewersydaa growth was going really fast as Wakadinali fans started to accept him with his style of drill music.
Always root kwa speaker mpaka mosho na ziezi pita. Constantly number moja Johnny na go.
It was while making Victims of Madness that the name Sewersydaa finally came to be known by many Kenyan hip-hop and Wakadinali fans. In late 2020, something happened at Wakadinali's camp, and according to remarks from someone close to the camp, Wakadinali came to realize there was misappropriation of funds from their own manager, Jeff, aka Hefe. Before the incident, Hefe had been Wakadinali's manager for a long time.
So how did you come into the picture? Uliingilia wapi?
So like when I was in uni, when I was joining uni, I met my friend, a friend of mine called Charles. He was telling me about this rap, man. There's this rap over here, man. I'm saying Z.
Ulisha uni gani? Your N?
KU.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like telling me, you got this guy is the shit.
Yeah.
He was talking about ska.
Okay, ska.
Yeah, so that ska, it was like, went to KU radio at the time. I was like, knowing him.
Alijuaje ska? Alikuwa ametoka hood moja ama
they used
alikuwa
to stay
namsikiza
like
tu?
in the same building.
Okay.
Yeah. So like most of the time Charles and Ska used to hang out. So that's why I knew Ska.
Okay.
Then over time like Ska finished, now we finished uni.
Yeah.
Now like what's the next step now?
What's the next step?
So we were like by the way this music thing can work out for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just said like hey Nyaje, so we make this thing real. So now that's how Zoza Nation was formed.
School man.
Yeah, to school me sasa vizuri.
Okay, at the time akuwa na Zoza Nation. So
it was there, it was there, but it was still like not
just
formalized.
notion.
Haiko formalized. Ilikuwa tu
Tujue ni nini pia.
ndio ilikuwa
Yani
tumeshika tu. Zoza. Okay, alafu so you were in umemada chuo ukapata na ska. Ulikuwa una stay wapi, hood gani? Una rep hood gani?
Mimi msewa Ngong man.
Msewa Ngong.
Yeah.
Okay,
Shout out to Ngong man.
Yeah, shout out to Ngong man.
Yeah.
So like I always loved music, like from my young age. So it's like this was like a great opportunity for me myself even to get into the industry because here 3 talented artists, no doubt. Me I knew for a fact when I had Nanya Copit 1, I was like, this is the shit.
This is the shit. Yeah.
This is the shit.
Yeah.
I was like, why are not more people listening to this stuff?
Yeah.
Why are guys listening to this some artists out there? No.
Yeah.
Because me I believe when it comes to music in Kenya, you have to rap in Kiswahili or Sheng.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the language everyone talks. No matter even if you're Moyale or you're where. Wataskiza.
From our source, Wakadinali, being led by Ska, were able to find out their manager was not accounting everything they were getting from streaming platforms, shows, and revenue made from merchandising. This is something that you ought to know. Wakadinali have never shared to public before, and they have kept it to themselves and never want to talk about it. To bring you close to the effects this feud brought, I'll mention a few things that you have seen in Wakadinali's camp that will sink in proper. Part of Jeff's role was to upload Wakadinali's project to different DSPs, and by DSPs I mean digital streaming platform. But the money was channeled to his personal bank account, and by now you know this is because they trusted him to handle all that. But what Jeff used to do is he would receive full payments from the DSPs, but he would report with wrong figures to Rongrende. See what I did there? Anyway, you know Rongrende don't like when people disrespect them and especially play with their money. What did they do after finding out? They started looking for Jeff because he went into hiding. By this time, he had all the logins to their social media accounts and email used for business. Knowing he was a wanted man, Jeff went and deleted some of Wakadinali's songs from DSPs, just to hide how much he had collected from all digital streaming platforms. If you have been following Wakadinali for a long time, probably you notice at some point Sewersydaa's album Jeshi Ya Katululu, Ndani Ya Cockpit, Ndani Ya Cockpit 2 and Haitaki Hasira at some point were deleted from all digital streaming platforms for some time. Up to now, they have re-uploaded Ndani Ya Cockpit 2 and Haitaki Asira, but Jeshi Ya Katululu has never been re-uploaded. Wakadinali, led by Scar, they eventually got hold of Jeff, and it was not a pleasing scene for him after he was traced down to his hiding. They were able to receive all their social media and email assets back from Jeff, and because they have been like a family for a while, they chose not to talk about this publicly or even mention it anywhere. Thanks to our source, now you know what really went down. When Domani refers to him as the one controlling civil service, it is after this incident that Sewersydaa took the role of being Wakadinali's manager. He basically means it is up to Sewersydaa to arrange their logistics in everything they do, from video shoots, recording sessions, attending meetings, interviews, negotiating for deals, shows, and preparation of merchandise. Now with the bigger role as the one controlling civil service, Sewersydaa kept releasing his solo singles, and on 23rd August 2020, he released Rumors, which was followed by Set It, Burn It on 23rd October 2020. And on 21st November 2020, he released Tundura. By this time, Sewersydaa had already even started to be influential to rappers like Mr. Right of Brooklyn Boys. He mentioned him in his single, Whoosh Whoosh.
Mana driller, slim siwa.
And the icing on the cake was when he did a song with the other half member of Brooklyn Boys, with the song titled Good Morning Africa.
Don't trust kila morning Johnny kiamka na kisha Good Morning Africa.
And just recently, RS66 shared a behind-the-scene video of Wakadinali and Brooklyn Boys. When Victims of Madness dropped on 27th November 2020, the drill scene in Kenya had already taken off and many were listening to drill music. And it was from here that Sewersydaa got his tribe, affirmation, and new fans who have never heard of him before as our Wakadinali member. Victims of Madness, I will say, is the tape that gave Wakadinali and Sewersydaa more followings and a stamp into the big boys game. The album also shortened Sewersydaa's journey by half the distance and time that it took Ska and Munga just to establish the fan base they now have as individual rappers before Sewersydaa came to the picture fully. Victims of Madness was the project that catapulted Sewersydaa's music career. Remember when Sewersydaa, after dropping Dania Cockpit as a group project, he went silent for a while with no consistency of releases? Well, after Victims of Madness, that was not going to happen. He continued to drop more solo singles, and on 13th February 2021, he dropped Jipin, which was produced by Africa Beats. On 15th February, he dropped a song titled No. It was his first double release, and it's from here that he announced of his upcoming sophomore album titled Wada, Healing of a Nation. Thereafter, Sewersydaa teamed up with Diana Codes for the first time, and they released Riswa on 18th June 2021. On 13th September 2021, he released yet another song off the album, produced by HR The Messenger, titled Second Wave. On 1st November 2021, through the initiative Lenga Ugaidi na Talanta, Sewersydaa was able to show off his skill as a storyteller behind the mic with the song Extremists, which actually enabled him to win an award on Lenga Ugaidi na Talanta initiative. Come 30th November 2021, Wada was officially released as the sophomore album by Sewersydaa under Zoza Nation.
Wada, Healing of a Nation, squeeze the karawa na ingizo kwa chain.
Possibly eye contact is gonna be the one. That's exactly what we're here to talk about. That's exactly what we're here to talk about. Okay, talk to me about, first of all, Wada.
Wada,
yes.
Yeah.
No,
Wada,
it's got a lot of tracks.
Wada means Dawa. First, it has 19 tracks. It's my all-time album. Basically an LP kind of thing. It has many tracks. So the first visuals is eye contact. I just dropped it on Monday. Yeah. So eye contact, yeah.
But when you look for it online, it's been out officially for about a month, right?
I officially put it in all streaming platforms from January.
Sewersydaa and generally, Wakadinali, they are never into controversies, but recently he got misunderstood with his line on Geri Inengi. The funny thing is, it's a line that many have quoted from the song, and the way Sewersydaa delivered it made it even better. In 2022, he worked with HR the Messenger on a joint project known as Nocturnals. Sewersydaa has had a crazy journey, coming from behind the lens to dropping buzz after buzz, and finally to find his perfect self to be here today. One thing I can say, the man deserved to be here and to have all this glory.
Yeah. It's Wakadinali, Sewersydaa Mkadinali. Yo. Leo tuko ndani ya keja tutoki, jeshi iko handa na toki. Mlena likulwa toja, toki, toka, kopa na koti. Jeshi ya koja, tuko tomboya, lesni bigi mishoni. Tuarist mwenye ligongo na hoka, akatoboka madola, sorry. Welcome to Nairobi though, chunga porio. Giza kwa korido, arifa ligeuziwa na morio. Andre dilipigwa tapo, chokot alichumia Landford. Tuliambiwa fudiro, madam, huku watuko, ote do. Yes, Wakadinali, Sewersydaa Mkadinali, yeah?